Well, good evening, and welcome to a Celtic Celebration. My name's Peter Bath, and they've asked me to be the MC for the evening because I actually own a kilt and I wear it. But also because my ancestry, I'm 25% Scotch and 16% Welsh, so I've got some legitimacy in being here, Maestro. This is your Kettering Praise Orchestra under the direction of Maestro Donald Huff. Let's give them another round of applause. Tonight we're presenting a concert focused on the Celtic Nation, which comprises a collection of cultural and geographic regions in northwestern Europe, where Celtic languages and cultural rituals survive yet this day. Celtic nations that over the years of history fought and struggled with each other. War and suffering was commonplace to them. Tonight, as we gather here, war and suffering still visits our world. And I would ask you to bow your heads with me in a moment of prayer for this world and the very perilous times we're upon. Gracious Father, we come to you tonight, for you indeed are the creator and author of all. You are the one who brings peace to storms. You're the one who calms waters that are troubled. You're the one who can do wonders beyond wonders. Tonight as we gather and we remember the history of the nations that we celebrate, we also remember the nations that are currently being oppressed and at war. Russia and the Ukraine being a prime example, but all over our world, we think of Syria, we think of the Middle East, we think of the West and the Far East. Oppression and freedom are not all that common in our world as you would wish. Help us to be people who build bridges of hope, extend hands of help, and do our best wherever we are to make our world a better, safer place. May your peace reign and your power be evident, because though the wrongs seem oft so strong, we know that you are the ruler yet. We pray this in your name. Amen. So the 6 regions widely considered Celtic are Brittany, Cornwall, Ireland, Isle of Man, Scotland, and Wales. Did you know that before you came in tonight? There will be a test to allow you to leave, so pay attention. Now, in each of the 6, the Celtic languages are spoken. Brythonic languages in Brittany, Cornwall, and Wales, and Gaelic languages in Scotland, Ireland, and Isle of Man. Do you know where the Isle of Man is? You're going to find out tonight. We're going to start our journey in Brittany, which simply means from Britain. Now, Brittany juts out into the Atlantic from the west coast of France, with the English Channel to the north, Celtic Sea to the northwest, the Atlantic Sea to the west. Great seafarers come from this region. And in part, there's still a big part of the world today. If you're a sailor, as my wife and I are, you'll know the Whitbread Volvo Cup Around the World race starts there. The Solo Around the World Alone starts there. It's a place where people know and love and live with the sea. It's the only official Celtic nation left on mainland Europe. Its namesake and much of its cultural heritage come from the British settlers who arrived there in the 5th and 6th centuries. The modern flag of Brittany was designed in 1923 and is known as the white and black. It features 11 ermine spots and 9 stripes. The ermine spots represent the black-tipped tail of a weasel used on medieval cloaks, and the black and white stripes represent the Breton and Gallo languages, respectively. Since the early 70s, Brittany has experienced a tremendous revival in folk music. You will now hear a melody of folk dances from this region in Timothy Brogue's 4 Breton dances. As you came in this evening, did you enjoy the beautiful harp music in the lobby? Special thanks to Cinnamon Peppo for her wonderful gift that she shared with us. Now, the Trois Martolds, or the Three Sailors, is a traditional Breton song which dates back to the 18th century. The lyrics tell the story of three young sailors who embark on a journey to Newfoundland. Cinnamon Peppo is now going to present Trois Martolds and take us to Newfoundland. Thank you for gifting us with such delicate music and inspiring to get a visual picture of what those sailors were doing as they may have danced a jig, I don't know, but lovely. Now travel with me from Brittany to Cornwall. We're going to take a boat from the coast of France via the English Channel and the Celtic Sea to the southwest tip of England. Cornwall is a county on the western edge of England, southwestern coast of England, appropriately positioned on the Celtic Sea. The country is bordered in the north and west by the Celtic Sea, to the south by the English Channel, and to the east by the County Devon, over the River Tamar, which forms most of the border between them. Cornwall is the homeland of the Cornish people and traditionally went by the name Cernow, which is the Celtic word meaning horn or headland. St. Piran's flag is the national flag and the ancient banner of Cornwall. It's a white cross on a black background. According to the legend, St. Piran, who mined and processed the tin that came from mines so abundant in the region, adopted these colors from seeing the white tin in the black coal during the smelting and processing. Tonight we present our 7th commission from composer Michael Brown with the music of Cornwall. This composition is a medley of 4 Cornish songs that come from Cornwall's cultural heritage of community singing known as the Cornish Shout. The first medley begins with Trelawney, which is recognized the world over as the Cornish national anthem. Second, you'll hear Cinnamon featured on the harp and Lindsay Baker on flute solo on Sweet Nightingale. Third, you will hear Cambron Hill, a traditional tune that celebrates the story of Richard Trevithick and the invention of the steam engine. Finally, the medley finishes with Cornwall My Home, a recent hit that's often heard at festivals through Cornwall. Here is the world premiere of Music of Cornwall. You heard it here first, folks. What a delightful piece. Thank you so much, Maestro. We now travel north to Wales, better known to the Welsh as Cymru, which translates fellow countrymen. It's a country as part of the United Kingdom, is bordered by England to the east, the Irish Sea to the northwest, the Bristol Channel to the south. The Bath side of my family comes from Swansea, Wales, which for some time was the metal processing center for Europe and the emerging world. The flag of Wales develops or incorporates the red dragon of Prince Cadwallader, who along with the true Tudor colors of green and white. Now, Wales is often referred to as the land of song, notable for its harpists, its male choirs and soloists. Our next piece, Siogan, is a traditional Welsh lullaby. First recorded in print around 1800, the lyrics were captured by the Welsh folklorist Robert Bryan. The song's title simply means lullaby. Siogan. Thank you for that very soothing, peaceful music. The Men of Harlech is a song which military tradition says describes the events of a 7-year siege of the Harlech Castle ending in 1468. The song gained international recognition when it was featured in the 1941 movie How Green Was My Valley, and then again in 1964 in the movie entitled Zulu. It's widely used as a regimental march, especially by the British Army and Commonwealth regiments associated with Wales. Notably, it's the slow march of the Welsh Guards, the quick march of the Royal Welsh, and the march of the Canadian Hussars. Tonight, we premiere a brand new arrangement by Steve Martin that was inspired by Charlotte Church's live performance at Brixton Academy. Please give a warm welcome to tonight's vocalist, Greta Shaw, Men of Harlech.
Hark, I hear
What a treat. What a treat. Thank you again, Greta. Wonderful gift. Let's get back aboard the sailboat and make our way to the Isle of Man, which is located in the middle of the northern Irish Sea, almost equidistant from England to the east, Ireland to the west, and Scotland to the northeast. The Isle of Man is a self-governing British Crown dependency. The head of state, Queen Elizabeth, holds the title Lord of Man and is represented by a lieutenant governor. For centuries, the island's symbol has been the so-called three legs of man, a triskelion of three legs co-joined at the thigh. The symbol appears in the island's official flag, coat of arms, and currency, and the motto of the Isle of Man reflects this triskelion symbol when it says, "Whichever way you throw us, we'll always land." The next piece, Manon Veen, translates Dear Isle of Man. This 10-minute tone poem for band is based upon 4 tunes from the culture of the Isle of Man known as Manx tunes. Man is oftentimes referred to as Manx, M-A-N-X, in terms of music. The first, The Good Old Way, is an old and typical air. The second tune, which introduces the lively section of the work, is a reel, the Manx Fiddler. The third tune, Sweet Water in the Common, relates to the old practice of summoning a jury that would arbitrate questions of boundary and water flow. The fourth is the last and a fine old hymn, The Harvest of the Sea, sung by fishermen as a song of thanksgiving after their safe return from their fishing grounds. Manon Veen. Such lyrically inspiring music from a land that is nothing but rock, water, and trees. My wife and I had the privilege of journeying through Scotland, the Isle of Man, on our way to Iona, and it is not an easy place to live. But to have music inspiring such as this come forth from a place such as that says an awful lot about the creative heart and the gratitude and gifts we can all celebrate. Manx Gaelic, spoken in the Isle of Man, is similar to the Gaelic spoken in Ireland and Scotland. Many Manx folk songs make reference to birds, as does this next child's lullaby, Arenni Clean. The lyrics imitate the gentle cooing of a dove, something that is wonderfully soporific at the right time. But before we hear this, I'd like you to take your programs and open the cover and look on the inside and take note of the people who have supported Praise Orchestra. And I'd like you to give a big round of applause to them because it has helped us keep the Praise Orchestra going for some time. The next thing I'd like you to do is to reach in front and take an envelope from the pewback holder there. It's for church offerings, but we know tonight when we receive it, it will be your gift to support the Praise Orchestra and its ministry and many varied opportunities. We'll receive that offering during the next piece that we're going to share. And our hope is that after tonight's offering, when we applaud next year for the names of people here, your name will also be there. Please welcome back Greta Shull, who will be accompanied by Cinnamon on harp, along with a bird-like obligato played on flute by Lindsay. Greta, welcome back. Thank you again, Greta, Cinnamon, and Lindsay. We now travel to Scotland. That was the first clue. Covering the northern third of the island of Great Britain, Scotland has a 96-mile border with England to the southeast, and otherwise surrounded by the Atlantic to the north and west and the North Sea and the Irish Sea to the south. There are over 790 islands that comprise Scotland. You think of the Hebrides and the great symphonies that have been written. The flag of Scotland, known as St. Andrew's Cross, or the Psaltery, is the national flag, and dating back to the 12th century, the great white cross that spans diagonally across the flag on a blue background was thought to be the traditional shape of the cross upon which St. Andrew was put to death. It is one of the oldest flags in the world. Scottish music is a significant aspect of the nation's culture. Its most iconic instrument, the great Highland bagpipe. Praise Orchestra is now going to present the Great Highland Pipes, a medley of Scotland the Brave within a mile of Edinburgh without my accompaniment. The arrangement captures the bagpipe sound and that familiar Scottish snap rhythms that you'll enjoy. The Great Highland Pipes. As a young lad, I played in a pipe band in Canada. Our pipe major owned a lawnmower repair shop, and we called him his pipe major Scotty. And he often said this. He'd say to us, "What's the difference between bagpipes and a lawnmower?" And we didn't know the answer. He said, "I can tune a lawnmower." Now we're going to hear about the Scottish bluebell, or the bluebell of Scotland, a species of flowering plant that is absolutely beautiful. This herbaceous perennial is found throughout the temperate regions of the Northern Hemisphere. In Scotland, it's simply known as the bluebell. The Bluebells of Scotland is a well-known Scottish folk song, first published in 1801. Oh, where does your Highland laddie dwell? Oh, where does your Highland laddie dwell? He dwells in merry Scotland, where the bluebells sweetly smell. And all in my heart, I love my laddie well. In 1899, the song was arranged for trombones with accompaniment. It's often considered to be the trombone equivalent in terms of required mastery of the instrument to the Carnival of Venice and what that is for the trumpet. Tonight, displaying this mastery of trombone, please welcome Connor Furman, who grew up in Springboro, graduated from the University of Dayton with a degree in music performance and a Master of Music from Florida State University. Currently, he is the low brass instructor at Central State University, and he teaches low brass lessons at Spring Valley and That Music Place. Connor Furman, welcome. I don't know if the music score comes with a tube of chapstick, but it might be helpful. That was so well done. My goodness. Well, from Scotland, we travel west, the Celtic Sea to Ireland, also known as the Republic of Ireland, the largest city of which is Dublin. 40% of the country gathers around Dublin, and you can find that on a map quite easily. You can see that it's still part of the northern part of Ireland is still part of the United Kingdom. Now, the Irish name for Ireland is Éire, derives from the Old English, Iru, which is the name of a goddess of their mythology. The flag of Ireland is a tricolor of green. The colors representing the Gaelic tradition, green, the followers of William the Orange in Ireland, orange, and the white representing the seeking of peace between the two. And you know of your history, the continued challenges between the folks of faith in Ireland. And in the pew in front of you will find a hymnal, and number 547 is entitled, Be Thou My Vision, one of the oldest and most loved hymns. Here's a little history behind that beloved Irish hymn. In the 18th century, an unknown poet wrote a prayer asking God to be his vision, his wisdom, his best thought, day or night. And in 1905, Mary Barn, a scholar in Dublin, translated the ancient Irish poem into English. Another scholar, Eleanor Hull of Manchester, England, took that translation and crafted it into verses with rhyme and meter. Shortly thereafter, it was set to the traditional Irish folk song of Slane, named for a hill in County Meath, Ireland, where St. Patrick's lighting of an Easter fire, an act of defiance against the pagan king, led to his unlimited freedom to preach the gospel in Ireland. Be thou my vision. Our finale this evening is a descriptive work by band composer Robert W. Smith titled Ireland of Legend and Lore. The work's divided into 3 sections. Following a majestic introduction, the familiar bounce of an Irish march surfaces from the ensemble. The composer has chosen Brian Boru's march for this section of the work. Brian Boru, in the year 1001, was responsible for an interesting act of battlefield chivalry. According to history, he was laying siege to a chap by the name of Malachi, demanding submission and hostages. Malachi responded by saying to Boru he would appreciate a respite of 1 month to allow him to gather an army to do battle and to fight. Failing that, he would submit and provide him with hostages. Well, Boru granted the request and came back a month later, and Malachi was unable to gather the army. So he told him that he regretted he'd have to give hostages and submit. Byron Boru, instead of accepting the hostages and his submission, entreated him to take a year to try and raise an army and have better luck. Malachi refused, declaring that he would not battle against a man of such chivalrous nature. Oh, for chivalry today. The second section of the piece is based on a romantic legend which ended up with quite a twist. You've heard the saying, love is blind? Listen to this story. The setting is Carrickowley Castle, a waterside fortification in the broad, flat rock of a windy sea. Grace O'Malley, a woman of legendary strength and cunning, had selected this castle to be part of her enterprise of piracy and trade. Now, the castle had been given to Robert Burke, the inherited son from the family, and it seems that Grace had her eyes on Robert because Robert had the castle she wanted. The unfortunate fellow actually married her, and Grace accepted him on this condition, that the marriage could be terminated by either party at the end of a year. Well, during the year of their marital bliss, Grace went around and installed her own soldiers at not just this castle, but all of the family fortresses. And at the end of the year, calling from a castle window, she said to him, "I dismiss you." And that was it. Done. The soldiers were in charge, and Grace had her castles. The final section of the work is based on multiple attacks on a castle built by Conor O'Brien around 1142. Cahir Castle stands on another rocky islet in the midst of the sea. The castle layout, following the shape of the land, is well fortified and stood continuous battles and attacks from 1142 through the 17th century, when England rivals led by Robert Dervaux, Earl of Essex, confronted and conquered it in 3 days. And then in 1641, the notorious Lord Inchquim, who was noted for destroying many towns and fortifications in Ireland, did the same thing in a matter of hours. Later in 1650, Cromwell shows up, not wanting a long battle. He just simply let the garrison dismiss with their arms and their flags and weapons. The composer has chosen the percussion section to form the center of this musical battle. 2 percussive armies battle for the castle with support from the surrounding winds. As the work draws to a close, we hear 2 opposing armies call to each other through the percussion. As with Cromwell at Cahir Castle, they chose to draw down their weapons and walk away with their heads held high, resolving to meet again under better circumstances. Here is Ireland of legend and lore. Well, there you have it, a delightful musical introduction to the 6 Celtic nations. Before we end, we want to extend a special word of thanks to McCutcheon Music and Jim and Deb McCutcheon for their continued support of Kettering Praise Orchestra. Jim, wave your hands. There they are, right there. So nice to see you. There was a place called Peasant Stock, I remember. That's wonderful, wonderful memories. And a particular word of thanks to Maestro Huff for such a delightful selection. Where else do you get this musical insight and historical insight to great complex pieces? What a wonderful job you have done, and the Praise Orchestra. Let's give them a round of applause again. I was asked to mention that the Praise Orchestra has 2 new items available in the lobby after the concert. The first is a 2019 Celtic in America CD, and the second is a Blu-ray DVD of last year's virtual Celtic Celebration. So on behalf of the Kettering Praise Orchestra, I thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to see you back next year at the 12th Annual Celtic Celebration. We now leave you with this old Irish blessing. May the road rise up to meet you, the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rain fall soft on your fields. Until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Randy. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I'm not used to this. They don't do this after.